Travel presents an amazing opportunity to explore new places and cultures, and importantly, create new connections. And as a maker, is there any better way to do this than through the lens of craft? Hi, I'm Paige, founder of Mabel, and I created my Japan craft tour to facilitate those connections between makers. Over 9 days, we enthusiastically explore modern interpretations of traditional Japanese craft, learning from Japanese artisans representing the best of their trades. Welcome to the Japan Craft Tour Digest. Our first stop is the Sensoji Temple in Asakusa. We went there early in the morning on our first morning in Japan to beat the crowds. That was a good choice because this temple does get crowded during the day. On our first day, we visited Kohana. Kohana interprets traditional Japanese craft into modern tools for people who hand sew and work with their hands. And it was a delight to hear from the Kawaguchis how they find their artisans and create the different products. Our first hands-on workshop was at Nona Temari. We learned just how hyperlocal this small business is. They have their own dye garden right outside their shop, and they hire local women to skein all their flosses and threads. They do their dyeing in-house as well. Their workshop space is on the second floor, and it's there we learned how to make traditional Japanese temari balls. So here we are at Tsukiji Market. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's packed because it's also a national holiday today, Culture Day. And we're just sort of eating at the various stands going all the way around. We tried some grapes, and we got some sirloin from this stand over here. It's super good. It's Wagyu, so the Japanese beef. It's the A5 ranked beef, which means it's super tender, and it's absolutely flavorful and delicious. After 2 days in Tokyo, we boarded the Shinkansen to Kyoto. Here's a pro tip. The upgrade to the green car is totally worth it. It's a lot more comfy, and 2.5 hour trip just speeds by. It also is only about $30. At this point, we made our way to Tokyo Station to catch the Shinkansen, or the bullet train, to Kyoto. Of course, we made sure to grab some ekiben, or lunch boxes, for our 2.5 hour trip. Typically, you do not eat on Japanese trains and buses or public transportation, but that's not the case on the Shinkansen. In fact, everybody stops and picks up an ekiben to enjoy on their trip. So our craft focus in Tokyo involved 3 workshops and 2 visits. We had workshops with Setsuko Torii, a knitwear designer, with Atelier Ricca for Yubinuki, and Indigo dyeing at Watanabe's. In Kyoto, our first workshop was with Setsuko Torii at her studio, which was conveniently right by our hotel. Torii Sensei's studio was just beautiful. It's a series of rooms that just keep opening up one right after the other, and we really enjoyed our time there. The first room that you walk into is actually where Torii Sensei has her ready-to-wear clothing, and that was so much fun to look at. Our workshop included some instruction on how to read and interpret Japanese patterns, and then we got right down to knitting these beautiful vests that Torii sensei had designed just for our group. We were knitting with 2 yarns held together, a silk mohair blend with a washi paper. We used a larger needle, a US size 10, which created a really open and airy fabric. Of course, we did not finish our projects that day, but we learned enough so that we were able to complete them on our own at home. A highlight of our trip was a visit to Watanabe's and Indigo dye farm, meeting their pet goat, and then learning about resist dyeing from Dante.
Their colors were kind of preferred, but to get that kind of intensity
Mine's
is
color.
What's the difference?
I dripped mine twice.
Okay.
Twice.
Yeah.
So you didn't oxidize it enough.
I didn't want to. I wanted it lighter.
So we dyed both bandanas using some resist techniques, and then we did dip dyeing with some t-shirts.
Oh my gosh, but I love that.
Ooh.
And Dante told us to like
At Atelier Ricca in Kyoto, we learned the traditional art of Yubinuki, or thread wrapping around thimbles. This work is done with silk threads, and it's on a very, very small scale, but it was so much fun, and we ended up with these beautiful necklaces, which are just really lovely. And yes, my hands are still blue from the indigo dyeing. We also visited a kawara, or a Japanese tile manufacturer, and took a trip to a Tenugui, which is a kitchen towel museum. On our way back from Watanabe's, we visited Irakato. They're a kawara, or Japanese tile maker. This company is, I think, a 2nd or 3rd generation tile maker, and they also make the needle rests and seam rippers for Kohana. And this is what the finished products look like at Kohana. Also in Kyoto, we visited the Tenugui Museum. Tenugui are traditional Japanese cotton kitchen towels, and they are printed with the most delightful artwork. This museum had towels that were up to 100 years old. But the most interesting part was the entrance ticket was actually a tenugui that you ripped the end off of to gain entrance to the museum. While our focus is craft, we also had time to visit some of the must-sees in Kyoto, like the Fushimi Inari Shrine, which is home to the 1,000 Red Gates. We visited Kiyomizu-dera and the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. There was also free time on our tour, and our guests had the ability to go and visit some gardens and, for example, the Imperial Palace in Kyoto and other sites. No visit to Kyoto is complete without a visit to Kinkakuji, or the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. We visited on a beautiful day. You can see that the fall foliage is about to change, and it was just a peaceful, delightful day. We also took an early morning visit to Fushimi Inari. Again, you need to get there early in the morning, otherwise it gets just really, really crowded.
Hello. Here we are. We're continuing to climb, but it's not really a climb, it's sort of a slight incline.
Any comment?
It's wonderful meandering and the bird song and the beautiful.
Strolling through Gion is also a must-do. It's just so picturesque, and again, during the daytime hours, not as crowded as during the evening. Some of our group went exploring and went to the Imperial Palace, which had some areas newly open to the public.
So here we are at Kiyomizudera, and we are going to climb up there. You have probably a pretty spectacular view of Kyoto from up there.
This wooden temple was originally built in the 700s and most recently renovated in 2008. Its most noticeable feature is the veranda that juts out from the main hall, offering an impressive view of Kyoto.
It goes without saying that any trip to Japan should also focus on the food. We had some of the best Japanese food, sushi and sashimi, of course, anago, which is eel, a variety of different types of food at izakayas, and even bentos on the Shinkansen. We had a little bit of everything, and it was absolutely delicious.
We had so much fun trying all the different types of food. From eel to noodles, sushi and sashimi, a myriad of small plates. All of the food was just really delicious and so much fun to try. The group favorite had to be the izakaya, or Japanese pubs, which had little plates and something just for everyone. Another important part of Japanese culture is sake. While in Kyoto, we took advantage of this and did a sake brewery tour, as well as a tasting with a food pairing. This was quite informative. All good things must come to an end. Our last night we had a sushi dinner as part of our sayonara party. See you next year.
This first Japan tour was a dream come true, and I'm thrilled that we'll be going back in November of 2024. So if you've been telling yourself, someday I'll get to Japan, let me tell you that someday is now. I hope to see you on our Japan craft tour. And if you like content like this, hit the like and subscribe button below and visit our page for more videos in detail about our Japan craft tour.